call your husband and ask him to put this book that you want to read in a completely different place.
And then can I use that book as a reward for doing those bloody exercises afterwards? Writing an essay is not a problem. It takes me 20 minutes tops, right? It's so fast.
You are a teacher though.
Yes, I am. But then like doing grammar exercises, that's what I struggle with.
If a student shares something about their private life, I shouldn't be like, okay, but what about task 3 in let's keep going.
Don't shut them up then, yeah?
No, that's definitely not the occasion.
Today, in our podcast of AKN, we are hosting Ola Krakowiak, one of our wonderful teachers. We've worked together for 2 years.
I think so.
Yes, almost, I think. Ola is not staying in Poland right now. She's studying psychology and she's doing her master's in Belgium. And Ola was kind enough to come to Poland for this interview, among others, of course. And we're going to speak with her about motivation today because Ola is very good at doing this with students, maintaining their motivation, setting it up, and making sure that nobody loses it. So Ola, the first question for you is, why is motivation so important in learning a language?
I think it's crucial because this is what keeps us doing what we do. And thanks to that, I think we're able to stay in line with our goals and just keep learning, and we don't drop the second day after, we are no longer so excited about the novelty of taking up a new activity.
That is so true. Do you think people in general have a problem with motivation or not?
I would say so, because very often we think that learning, especially learning, is rather imposed on us and we have to do it, and it's not something we want to do for ourselves to make our life easier, better, and we simply don't like doing things that we have to do instead of us choosing them. So I think that as long we think it's not our choice, people can have a huge problem with sustaining motivation at a certain level.
All right. So do you notice it quite often that people have this short-lived enthusiasm? They start with being like, yeah, I'm going to study English 3 hours a day. And yes, I'm going to be prepared. You can send me as much homework as you can. I will do all of it. And you can send me even more. So do you meet such students? And do they really keep to the end of this bargain or not?
Even if they do, I think it's the worst thing they can do to themselves, as, at the very beginning, you set the standard for the rest of our cooperation. And it's super normal that our motivation level may drop at one point. And I think that overwhelming yourself with a lot of tasks to do at the very beginning can make you think that this is something which you have to do for the rest of the time, the rest of our course. And this can be pretty tough, as we all have different situations in life. Life happens.
Right.
So if they come to me and they say, I want to do this, and that, I usually ask my students questions on their current habits, their current routines, their experience with studying before. And I think it's good to adjust and to get yourself more familiar with what you are actually able to do, taking into account your current lifestyle, work overload, and all of that.
Very true. So basically what you're doing is proper needs analysis, where you analyze how they live and how much room there is to fit English, right?
Yeah, I think this is what I like to do, the thing you just mentioned, because many people, when they take up a new hobby or anything that they want to start, they try to make their whole life revolve around it, which is not the case. It shouldn't be like this. I think it's better and easier and more sustainable if we build our new habits on the current ones that we have.
All right.
To that, I can give you actually an example, because it may sound very silly, but let's say that you brush your teeth every day in the morning. So why don't you just start going through the flashcards which you have on your phone while doing this, or maybe just after. So there is something which you do on a daily basis, and you add to that the new habit that you want to have.
Oh, that is actually brilliant. All right. So basically some app, with vocabulary, and I just scroll through it as I brush my teeth. This is building on it. All right. And now what's your advice? Because people are very, very enthusiastic at the beginning. And if they say, I want to study 3 hours a day, what do you say to them?
Okay, I actually ask them if this is the amount of time that they have on daily basis, or if it's the free time that they would usually spend on, let's say, reading or maybe watching something, because it's also not about taking away all their free time, because everybody has to rest.
Right.
So we have to be realistic. We have to set measurable, visible goals, of course. And I think it's better to also think of what your, let's say, also study styles are. So if you have motivation steady, or whether you tend to have those ups and lows, and we have to adjust to it.
Excellent. It's very good you're mentioning that, because I think a lot of people forget about it, right? They just think they can do it, and they forget about how demotivated they can get. So basically what you're doing at the beginning is you set it all up based on this needs analysis. But then what happens when something changes in their lifestyle along the way as they study? Have you encountered any situations like this when a person lost their job, changed their job, and they really needed to work much more than before? What happens then?
So I think what can be actually helpful in such a situation is that you can think of the current situation in your life, and let's say we can develop 3 strategies or maybe 3 plans for a day where, because it can be, day dependable, or it can change over months. So if it's just a bad day or a bad week or a bad 2 weeks, we can adjust our learning routine to that. But if it's something that fluctuates, we can also think of having 3 plans. So let's say that we have a plan for a bad day, a good day, and a brilliant day for studying.
Excellent.
And let's say that on a pretty bad day, the only thing you have to do is you have to go through the app which you use to, let's say, revise your vocabulary. And that's it. So this is the bare minimum which you do even if you have a really bad day. But then if you do it and you feel like doing something more, then you can maybe watch a video on YouTube about something which you like. So that would be a good day, a decent one, but it's not fantastic enough to spend 2 hours on writing an essay.
Absolutely.
And then we can see how we can adjust and tailor our learning routines to what we need.
All right. So it's all about individual approach at the end of the day, right? Okay. And what happens when a person has been learning steadily and pretty well for a long time, and then all of a sudden their motivation drops? Either they feel overwhelmed, I don't know, they're in a tough spot in their life or something. So overwhelmed with the studying, for example. Is there any remedy?
Of course there is. I think it's great time to reflect whether what they were doing was actually for them, and whether it was a goal which they thought it was relevant to them. Or was it the case that we mentioned already, that maybe they thought that they have to do it for work, or maybe it's just, they lost interest in what we were doing. I think that trying to work on variety of exercises can help them. But also what I'm super into is rewarding yourself with small things.
Excellent. Such as?
Because many people think, okay, if I pass this exam, then I will buy myself a new book to study, or I will do something nice to myself. But it's already too late then.
Yeah, that is so true, exactly.
Yeah, we don't like delaying gratification. We don't like waiting for the reward for months. So it's definitely better to set small goals, let's say weekly. And every day, if I manage to do what I wanted to do with my English, I can reward myself with, let's say, taking a nice warm shower if it's something that you like, or maybe reading a book that you like for 5 minutes, something simple, pleasurable, and it can be something which you do just after studying, so you have this immediate reward. This is crucial.
So something attainable. All right. Okay, so then we could focus on me as an example, okay, if you don't mind. So I'm learning Spanish, and I definitely follow the rule that you mentioned. Every day, doesn't matter what, I do my Quizlet in the morning. I do 2 sets, one set from the previous week and another one from, I don't know, months before, for instance, right? And this is something I do every day of my life. However, sometimes I feel a bit overwhelmed because I do want to study. I don't have to take an exam, you know. I don't need it for work. So it's not like there is this huge need in my life, but I still want to do it. But then those moments when I'm overwhelmed, is there anything I could do about that? Like maybe those little gratifications, I don't know. Because writing an essay is not a problem. It takes me 20 minutes tops, right? It's so fast.
You are a teacher though.
Yes, I am. But then like doing grammar exercises, that's what I struggle with. So now how to stay motivated to be able to always do it every week?
What you mentioned is that you said that you struggle with this lack of energy, lack of resources.
Right.
And I get that, because I think that it's always a choice to make, a conscious choice that, I want to go study right now. And this is not something that we would normally do. It's not that if I have a choice of watching TV for 20 minutes and studying English, of course, I would go and watch TV. So instead of, let's say, creating situations in which you have to actually use your resources and energy, try to think of how you can make it more easy for yourself to actually do those things without making decisions. So what I'm talking about, it's called automating habits. So simply before the situation happens, so before there is this time that you want to start studying, you should try to create yourself a situation where, let's say, you come home and there is, let's say, a book that you really wanted to read, and there is also a Spanish course book, which it's something that you should work on. So before you actually go home, you can call your husband and ask him to, put this book that you want to read in a completely different place. So you don't have to make this choice. If also you prepare everything in advance, let's say to this course book, some pens, maybe your notes as well. This is something which, let's say, alters the situation before it happens. So you don't have to use your resources while, attempting to study.
Excellent. So basically a proper setup is what I need, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. I like that. And then can I use that book as a reward for doing those bloody exercises afterwards?
Of course you can. And it's also not about creating the setup itself. It's more about trying to do the best you can to actually make you sit and do something. So just trying to change the situation before it happens.
I see.
It can be creating a setup, as you said, and you got it well, but it can be also maybe setting default apps on your phone, these ones when you have widgets or something like this. You can put your Quizlet or some other app which you use to revise your vocabulary there. So it's, the first thing you see when you unlock your phone.
Oh, that is a very, very clever piece of advice. All right. Thank you. I'll definitely use that. All right. Goal setting. This is a very important part of motivation. So how do you go about this? Do you go about this in the very first lesson with the student, or do you do it later on? Do you go back to it? How does it work?
I would definitely ask what's their motivation to study English, and if this is something that they actually want to achieve, such as passing an exam, or is it something which maybe they want to master as a skill, so they want to improve their pronunciation, for example. Then we also go and explore it deeper. So I usually would ask some more questions about it. But of course, it can change a lot, as sometimes we work together for years.
Right.
This is something that we have to adjust from time to time as well. Yeah.
And then those goals, because some people have like this end game goal where they say, I want to be able to present in front of my boss, who is from, I don't know, somewhere, in, let's say, 3 years. That's a very, very distant goal, distant in time. So what do we do about that? Do we set up some smaller goals so they can actually, they don't have to wait that long?
Yeah, it's like with the rewards. They have to be proximate. This is not something that we would think, and okay, if I think that I want to present in 3 years, then of course I won't study today because I still have, 3 years
exactly
to practice for that. So definitely it's good to think of what are the things that would make me actually more likely to be able to present in those 3 years. So when we are thinking presentation, definitely it's good to be able to make a small talk first. So our goal for the first month of the cooperation, it can be to practice small talk, and then...
So basically setting up these little steps, baby steps, right? Okay. I do have a student whose goal was to actually do exactly that. Maybe not in front of her boss. She said she wanted to perform at an international conference. And I asked her, okay, when do you want to be ready to do this? And she said, well, in 6 years. So, that's a long time. Can we please set up those little baby steps? She's like, no, that's my only goal. I just want to present at a conference. And so it was very difficult to talk her into setting up these little ones. But when we additionally created those little rewards, then it worked, because she knew that something nice was awaiting her. But then with this particular student, what's important is that you go back to these little goals, these short-term ones, and you review them every now and then. Because what she says is that she loses motivation very quickly if she doesn't see any progress. And so now, what do we do when students don't see the progress and they feel like they are losers, it's not going anywhere, which is... eventually taking them to, a burnout even, right?
Of course, I think it can be a very tough nut to crack when that happens, especially that for many teachers, they don't have this opportunity to talk to students that much. This is also what I value, is that I take time to talk to my students and ask them, reflect on what they want to do. But basically what you described is that I can see how such students, they can feel not so competent and not so agent about the learning when they try and they do their best and they fail, or maybe the success is not as pronounced as they would like it to be. I think what's super nice to do then is maybe to try to talk and discuss whether the goals that we set, if they are challenging enough for them to perceive them as hard and exciting, but also if they are not too difficult. Because I think that every correction is an opportunity to grow, and this is something which we also sometimes have to rewrite, reframe, as our previous experiences are often not so pleasant. But at the same time, we have to know that maybe the goal that we want to achieve in the very near future is not something which is good for us just for now. Maybe we can do this in 3 months. Yeah?
Right. Okay, so it's good to actually also prepare a good timeline, I understand, right? And put those goals in the right way and in the right moments of this timeline, right? Good. All right. Feedback. when we talk about motivation, it is very, very, very crucial to do feedback with students on a regular basis. You need to know where they are, and they probably need to know where they are as well, in a sense that you tell them. So how to go about that?
Oh, yeah, feedback is everything. So once we have this safe space to talk about our mistakes and talk about what we do well as well, I think it's good to highlight all the strengths and skills we already mastered, but it's crucial to also remember that there are areas that we should improve, and it's not good to, leave it for later and hope that one day those will improve too. I think it is all about the way you put it and the relationship which you have with your student.
Right.
It should be comfortable enough. The space which you create for you to talk about those things. So I want to receive feedback, but I want to give it to my students too. And if it works both ways and we have this sense that we can always discuss it and talk to each other about it, I think it's also easier because it goes both ways.
Absolutely. So how to create this proper setting for this? Like how to make them feel comfortable enough to give you feedback?
I think it's all about the sense of connection. I think that for me, it's huge that whenever I ask them questions about what's going on in their life, they tell me. I share bits with them as well. And we both care. And this also shows in the conversation topics that we usually choose. It's something that interests me, but maybe it's also something that passionates the student. Of course, I always try to dive and maybe dig deeper in the internet, try to find articles, videos which are just fascinating for students, engaging, and we discuss things which are both relevant and just interesting for them.
Right.
So we build this connection. We, I think, share things openly. And I think that because also we have many opportunities to spend time together outside of the classes, as our school organizes a lot of events. I think that this also fosters this sense of community, which is very relevant in goal attainment as well. This is something which we maybe not talk about that often, that it's not only autonomy and the sense of competence, but also the feeling of relatedness, which is very, very important when we want to keep our motivation at a high level.
True. So basically what you're saying is having in common as much as we can. And then it's going to work, right? Okay, that is taking me to also listening. We as teachers need to listen, right? And we need to show students that we're interested in what they have to say. And now, how to differentiate between just listening and attentive listening? Can you give an example where actually it could be visible? Because I think it is a very underappreciated topic.
Of course. I think that if a student shares something about their private life, I shouldn't be like, okay, but what about task 3? Let's keep going. We have no time to that. I think we should take time to actually talk about topics which maybe bother them, or maybe there is something exciting going on in their life, and maybe we can even alter our lessons so they are more suitable for the occasion. But to give you an example, if students share something exciting, for example, that they just got engaged, or
don't shut them up then,
No, that's definitely not the occasion when you should go and discuss the exercise. I would always ask them to tell me the story of how did that happen, then they also have the opportunity to
True.
use some past tenses.
There you go. Should we then tell them like, oh, listen, so now since you want to tell me about your engagement and I understand it's still fresh in your life, how about a little practice of present perfect? Because this is the, this is the present
Impact
result.
your life.
Yeah, exactly. So are they then eager to speak about this thing in their life? If we mention a language point we want to practice at the same time?
I think this is something that you don't have to disclose. No, I'm just joking. I'm always honest with my students, so I will definitely tell them that. But yeah, I think that it also shows them how it is useful.
Right.
And creates an opportunity when they can practice it in real life, and they are more curious about the language, and I'm curious about their life too. So I want to see the photo of the ring too.
Exactly. So this genuine interest, right? Okay. Since we're running out of time, I have one more question, and this is a question about the reasons for studying. On occasion, there are students who come, and when asked about the reasons why they actually want to take up English, they say they don't know. They say they just want to speak. And when you ask them deeply, they're like, well, I don't actually know. So how to discover those reasons with the students?
I think one of the things we can do then is just trying to do different things and maybe work on different topics, areas of interest, and see what actually makes them engaged. And I think that this can later become one of the reasons for studying, because they want to explore the topic deeper, they want to learn more about it. So that can be one approach. Trying to make them see some benefits which come from learning a language and getting access to new materials. But also, I think it can be just asking them questions about their personal life and trying to see if English maybe suits any of the aspects of their life which are important. So let's say that, oh, I don't know why I want to learn English, but I love traveling with my family. Okay. Do you ever go abroad? Maybe this is something which you can do and be more confident about it.
Excellent. All right. So basically, it's always possible to find a reason. We just have to dig deeply enough, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ola. It was very, very nice to have you here. And I'll see you next time.
See you. Bye-bye. Thank you too.